What is going on, y'all? This is Pay Me in Dividends, and today is May 1st, 2025. Now, we're going to jump right into this video. I want to do a comparison of SCHD and DIVO. These are both dividend ETFs that pay anywhere from 3 to 4% yield, but they do have a couple differences, and I want to break down those differences in this video. So the first thing we're going to look at the chart. All right, we're going to keep it very simple. We're going to start off looking at the chart. So year to date, SCHD, which is the Schwab dividend ETF, is down about 5% year to date. Now if we go over to DIVO, it is around even year to date. You can see here it's down about 0.5%, but it is about even. And if we go 1 year out, it is up 7%. And if we go 1 year out on SCHD, it is about even or up about 0.5%. So we can see over the past year, DIVO is the clear winner. Now I want to push it out to about 5 years, and we can see that DIVO is up about 47% and SCHD is up about 57%. So it seems as, over the long term, SCHD may be the better ETF as far as growth is concerned. But what I want to do is I want to pull up this chart here. All right, so we're going to put DIVO and we're going to put SCHD. And we're going to pull up this chart here. All right, let me make this a bit bigger so you guys can see it. So look how interesting this is. All right, so this data goes all the way back to 2016, December of 2016, up until April 30th, 2025, which was yesterday. And we can see that with dividends reinvested over this time period, DIVO has outperformed SCHD. All right, so you can see the total return over this time period is about 145% for DIVO and 132% for SCHD, and the average annual total return is 11% for DIVO and SCHD is around 10%. So not too big of a difference as far as the average annual return, but DIVO has outperformed it, and this is with dividends reinvested included. Now if you look at it without the dividends reinvested, you can see they're about even as far as the average annual total return. They're both around 9.63 and 9.64%, so they're actually almost identical without dividends reinvested. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I don't see many people talking about DIVO. Now we all know that SCHD, although it is a lower yielding ETF compared to a lot of the higher yielding ETFs that are now on the market, but it is still a very, very solid ETF if we're talking about long term. But I think DIVO is worth looking at as well, just based off of the data points that we're going off of in this video. Now to take a deeper look, let's look at the actual SCHD page so that we get an understanding of how they actually make their money. So you can see the objective is to track as closely as possible before fees and expenses the total return of the Dow Jones US Dividend 100 index. All right, now for this one, I believe SCHD, they don't perform options on their ETF, and the reason why this is important to note is because the dividends are actually qualified dividends, meaning that they are the tax treatment is favorable towards investors compared to DIVO, where they're performing options on a percentage of their portfolio in order to generate that income, and so the dividends are not qualified dividends. So that is something to keep in mind as well. If this is not in a retirement account like an IRA or something of that nature, the taxes are a bit different on both of these, and hence we can see the expense ratio is higher on DIVO, right? The expense ratio is 0.56 compared to SCHD, which is about, let's see, 0.06, right? So it's a lot less than DIVO, and that is again because DIVO is a bit more active. They're actually performing options, and so they have a higher expense ratio. So I do think that that is important to note. Now, another difference between these two is that SCHD, they pay quarterly dividends versus DIVO, who pays monthly dividends. All right, so they pay a dividend every single month. So I think that is another key component to this comparison, is the fact that DIVO pays a monthly dividend around 4.8% yield, where SCHD is paying around a 3.5% yield, I believe, more or less. Let's see if we can find it on here. Here we go. Distribution yield about 3.7%. So DIVO is paying about 1% higher annualized dividend, and it is paying out on a monthly basis. And if we go down here to the holdings, so we can see the top 10 holdings here for SCHD is we can see they have Coca-Cola, Verizon, Lockheed Martin, Altria, Home Depot. These are all companies and brands that we are very, very familiar with. Cisco. And then if we go over to DIVO, we can see that their holdings are a bit different here. Let's see if we can find the top 10. So they have Caterpillar, they have Visa, Microsoft, American Express, Goldman Sachs. Again, these are all companies that we're familiar with. So their portfolios are a lot different. There's a little bit of an overlap, but for the most part, it's pretty different, and it's different strategies. But again, I think these are a great comparison because the yields are very, very similar. And both ETFs, if you zoom all the way out, you can see that the share price increases over time. So these may be two good ETFs if you aren't already aware of these, that you can add to your portfolio, and you could generate some dividend yield, but also get that portfolio growth. And as for me, if you guys have been watching my channel, you know that I've added SCHG, which is the growth ETF from Schwab, to my portfolio. And I think I would like to add either SCHD or DIVO to the portfolio as well, just to kind of maximize the performance of my portfolio, because as you guys know, I have Misty from YieldMax, I have QQQI from Neos, XDTE from Roundhill, and these are all high yielding ETFs that allow me to generate a lot of monthly dividend income. However, they're not necessarily growth stocks or ETFs long term, and so these two right here could really enhance the foundation of your portfolio. So you guys let me know in the comments, did I miss anything? I know this wasn't too deep of a dive into both of these. I really just kind of scratched the surface, but I think I covered the important things, right? I showed you guys the growth over time. I gave you guys a comparison on the chart with dividends reinvested over the past 10 years or so. We also talked about the dividends. SCHG does have qualified dividends versus DIVO that does not have qualified dividends. So the tax treatments are slightly different for both of them. But for me, I think if I had to choose between these two, I may go with DIVO, only because the yield is slightly higher. Not much higher. It's still pretty low yielding, but it is slightly higher. And I like the fact that they have the ability to pay out this dividend on a monthly basis, and over the long, and over, as far as year to date and over the 1 year mark, it has actually outperformed SCHD in share price. But I still think that both of these are very, very solid ETFs for anyone's portfolio. So you guys let me know in the comments, what do you think about these two? I know these are a bit different than what I usually talk about, but I do think they're worth speaking about because there's so much money in these ETFs that obviously people believe in them, and I don't see these going anywhere anytime soon. So you guys let me know in the comments, what do you think about SCHD or DIVO? Are you invested into them? Is it something that's on your watch list? Is it something you're staying away from? You guys let me know in the comments. As always, I appreciate you stopping by the channel, and I will catch you in the next video.